Hi, I'm Y2Staller, and I'm not that retro. You know, you would think it would be a great idea to have a show where I talk about PlayStation and Nintendo 64 games of the past, but since then I've had to deal with killer landladies.
I baked you this cake. It is an ancient family recipe.
And Sith Lords. I wonder how Linkara does it on a weekly basis. Well, at least I got out of there while I still could. I just hope nothing else happened to me.
Get out!
Fair enough.
Get out of here! Go! Come on, get out of here!
You know, somehow I wish I could just go back and start from the beginning. And I know just how to do that, by talking about one of my favorite games of the PlayStation era, Twisted Metal. I'm going to go through the entire series, starting from the earliest beginnings to the latest installment. So this is a not that retrospective Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal is the brainchild of one David Jaffe, a film student who was hired by Sony as a tester who eventually became a game developer and gave Sony one of its most popular franchises. Twisted Metal is a one-of-a-kind game, in that at the time, the game created a brand new genre, the car combat game.
Sure, there have been games where you battle around in a tank or a fighter jet, but there's just something about strapping machine guns and rocket launchers to an ice cream truck that just makes you want to kick some ass.
The game itself takes place on Christmas Eve in the year 2005.
Yes, I remember it well. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost snipping at your nose, and the sounds of people crying out in pain after their car was totaled by a lunatic cab driver with a Molotov cocktail. That was indeed the greatest Christmas of them all.
Every year, a tournament is held by the mysterious Calypso, who selects drivers from all over the world to compete for the ultimate prize, one wish. As for the actual gameplay, it's pretty standard. You choose a car and you go out and destroy the other cars before they destroy you. Along the way, you pick up different items that you can use to annihilate your opponent, such as homing missiles and mines. Each vehicle has their own unique special attack. Kind of like a special move in a fighting game, these special attacks can be used as many times as possible, but you do have to wait for it to recharge. As you progress further in the game, the levels get bigger and bigger and more opponents are added. The levels themselves are pretty spacious with plenty of room to drive around in. My favorite has to be Suburbia, where one minute you're driving around in a suburban area, the next minute you're driving in a canal region, the next minute the downtown area, and the next the most indestructible gas station ever. I do want to mention briefly the music in this game. The music is a really awesome mix of rock and heavy metal, but there's one track that sounds like it came from a horror thriller. The controls themselves handle pretty well for the most part. The gas and brake buttons work well, and the sharp turns work when you want them to, but don't be surprised if you end up crashing on the sides of the wall from time to time. I've had that problem myself.
Sorry!
I bet that's expensive. Sorry. Here we go.
But it all comes down to the final battle on the city rooftops. Here you take out the last of your opponents, but watch out, because one wrong turn and it's a long wave to say goodbye. If you survived all of that, then it's on to the final boss, Minion.
So this is what he was doing before working for Diamanda Hagan. She certainly knows where to find the best.
Minion will throw everything at you, and by everything I mean every single special attack in the game. It's one of those bosses where you just have to throw everything at it and hope for the best. Once that's over with, you've won the game and collect your prize.
Each character has their own ending, described in scrolling text, which isn't really exciting when you think about it. But would you rather have this instead?
Fight for me, we just, and I, and you, and them, you don't know! We want peace! Yeah!
Stop! Oh, that's strange. It tastes like...
Just a reminder that these endings were brought to you by Calypso Strawberry Lemonade. Calypso Lemonade! It tastes like...
The endings in the final product, however, are kind of lame. Most of the endings have them wanting stuff that they could have gotten without having to kill anyone.
You have won my contest. I shall now grant you any prize you desire. A turkey club and a cherry coke. Really? You can have anything you want. Fame, fortune, your own line of... Can I get my sandwich or what? I'm kind of hungry. Fine.
Although I do like the one ending where Calypso sends Outlaw into space. The game also has multiplayer, but it's only head-to-head combat.
Overall, Twisted Metal is a fun game of crazy car combat and wacky characters. But that was just only the beginning. For things were about to get better in its sequel, Twisted Metal 2.
Ah, Twisted Metal 2. A perfect example of how to do a proper sequel. By that, I mean take the things that made the first game awesome and improve upon them. The story takes place 1 year after the events of Twisted Metal. Los Angeles has been turned to ruins, and Calypso is discontent on where this year's competition should take place. That is, until he gets a revelation.
Oh, the world will be my battleground. Paris, Hong Kong, even Antarctica.
So all the levels in the game are based on different places of the world, but we'll get to that in a moment. There are new vehicles this time around, such as the race car Twister, the loader Mr. Slam, and the... whatever this is, Axle, as well as some familiar ones such as Roadkill, Outlaw, now Outlaw 2, and Warthog. I also want to point out that the drivers driving the vehicles are different than in the original. This is something that would be consistent in the series, in which the vehicles are the same, but with different drivers. As far as controls go, everything has really improved. In the previous game, you could be driving really fast and not be able to do a sharp turn and crash into the side railings. Here, the handling is much improved, and you are able to make sharp turns on a dime, which does come quite in handy, especially in boss battles. There are also some new weapons at your disposal, such as the Ricochet, a giant bomb that bounces all over the place, and the Napalm, designed to burn enemies. The single-player campaign is pretty much the same as in Twisted Metal, only there are more levels, and you get to battle Minion again, but as a mid-campaign boss. My favorite level in this game has to be the Paris level. Not only do you have the luxury of going around its streets and destroying its priceless works of art, but you get to destroy the iconic Eiffel Tower, turning a one-level area into a two-level battleground. Some of my other favorites include New York, where you get to go up on the rooftops, crashing into buildings, and even into swimming pools. But it does answer the question that has bugged many New Yorkers for years.
Whether she's naked under that toga?
The other having to be Antarctica, where you're battling atop a high glacier and every couple of seconds a piece of the level falls off, making battling there more chaotic. But the final level is in Hong Kong, where you battle Darktooth, Sweet Tooth's dad who wants revenge for the death of his son.
Which doesn't make any sense when you think about it, because in the first game, Yellow Jacket is actually Sweet Tooth's father, and in one ending he ends up killing his own son. However, that would make this lost ending a lot more sense.
Again,
The world is now your oyster. I need a driver. Someone to travel the world and search for new drivers for each year's competition. You'll never die. And you'll drive forever. What do you say, Mr. Kane?
Sounds good to me, baby.
Not only is he the biggest vehicle in the game, but the fact that he can jump 30 feet in the air! Once you defeat him, it's not quite over. You then have to beat his head thing, and then the game is over. The endings themselves are very much improved from the last game. Here they use a comic book art style and solid voice acting. The art style fits the dark and tainted world, while the voice acting does a fantastic job of adding the despair of a lot of these characters. The endings all have some sort of dark twist at the end, which would become the signature style for future Twisted Metal games. My favorite ending has to be Axel, where he confronts his father.
Why have you come back? I thought I'd gotten rid of you.
Father, please, release me.
You were always too slow, too damn stupid, and you still are. Gonna take 10 more years on the wheels to set you right. You need to be taught a lesson.
No, Father, I've learned my lesson.
Let me show you what I've learned. Oh my God. Oh no.
Oh my God. I am a free man, and you are no longer my father.
The game also has multiplayer in the form of head-to-head and co-op.
Overall, Twisted Metal 2 is a phenomenal game. It is the best car combat game of all time. The game is also available on the PlayStation Store under the PS1 Classics, so if you have a PS3, download it and check it out. However, the celebrations for the first two games would be short-lived. Tune in next time as we take a look at the next two games in the series, and I'll show you what I mean.